We had 1,000 beta signups in like the first 2 weeks when we announced it. And even still today, we only have a little bit over 2,000 customers. And out of those 1,000 beta signups, I don't think we have any customers today that actually would have
None that
come
I'm
out of that
aware of.
initial
Yeah.
set. And so the earliest foray into customers, we weren't asking people to pay for it either. And so that was a chasm that needed to be, moved over. And at the time, as I mentioned, a lot of mobile app developers were hobbyists and, they weren't necessarily willing to spend money. And if they couldn't make money on their customers in the long term, there was no reason for them to pay someone. That created some interesting early friction because, as I mentioned, the early customer hadn't really emerged yet in the market. And then what happened over time is growth teams started to grow up. And this is around like growth hacking and data-driven marketing tactics and being able to kind of evolve strategy quickly, compounding learnings through experimentation and being able to do that in a data-driven way. And that was actually something that was just a very natural use case for us because we had this agility built into everything being real time. But what we found was that these early growth teams that were part of mobile apps were our ideal customer. But they were also a pretty tight-knit community because they were kind of forging a new, more data-driven, more experimental way of approaching a lot of marketing. And that wasn't something that was being taught in school. It was something that was being, learned as it was growing and as it was evolving. And so what we did in the early days really was we looked for those teams, those job titles, and we looked in the mobile apps that we felt were going to benefit from what we were doing. And so, the music streaming applications already had a way to make money as an example. And so they were, great early customers, dating applications that were charging subscription fees and just really anyone that was getting that early user traction and actually had an incentive to keep their customers around for a while.